Big g'day and welcome to the 2018 edition of the McDonald's Ballarat Football Netball League Grand Final Footy Show. My name's Yeendy. I'm joined by Tara Murray from the Star Weekly. What a tremendous season we've had, and it's going to peak at the grand final this weekend.
It is. Hopefully we can see a cracker. The last couple of grand finals have probably been a little bit disappointing, a little bit one-sided. So it'd be nice to get a really close grand final that goes down to the wire.
And how's this? You've jumped off the bench at the right time. Your form has been right at the right time of year, and you've been sliding on through nicely through the final series, which is greatly appreciated. And the feedback has been very, very extraordinary. And just people have enjoyed listening to the wealth of knowledge you've got as we pump up the grand finals. We're going to dial it back with under 18 and a halves footy action. We've got North Ballarat v Sunbury. It
is. I think Sunbury, it's the first time in a number of years they've had an under 18 side. I know the last few years they'd actually struggled for numbers for not only their 18s but their 16s. So you look at that, to get through to a grand final is massive for them. A few of these guys have played seniors. They are coached by Tony Lucas, who you and I both know well from his days at Rupertswood, where
multiple premiership coaches.
I think he coached 3 premierships at Rupertswood under 18. So you've got someone who is known to get the best out of these young guys, and then he's leading them. I don't know a lot about North Ballarat City, but you look at that, you've obviously got their senior side finished the regular season in second, and they've got your 18s through to a grand final. That there's a lot of depth at that club, and that's what you want to see, these young guys coming through. Obviously, after a disappointing season last season for North Ballarat, they're starting to show across the board that they are stepping up.
City had a very good win over Sunbury in the second semi-final over at City Oval, and they just played some great attacking football, had some great goal scoring opportunities. They moved the ball really well after a bit of a slow start, so they've certainly got that run of momentum and confidence. I think the stage is set for them to hold the Premiership Cup aloft this year, because there's just a lot of great young talent coming through. We look back on what happened over the weekend. They had they basically, across football and netball in the junior grand final stakes, they had a team in virtually every grand final. Their depth is as good as any team at AFL Goldfields.
And that's what you want to see, that depth of all those sides coming through. When we look at it, they do head into the grand final as red-hot favourites, and I'd expect them to probably take it out. But it'll be interesting to see how they go, and depth across their juniors, that's even good signs going forward, that you're going to have a lot more players coming through into this system.
Looking likely we'll see a pretty close game with City. Probably the favourites heading in this one, but as you touched on, a very key point, Tony Lucas, his experience that he brings into the competition, maybe a little bit unknown to the rest of the competition, but his experience is invaluable for the Sunbury Lions as head coach.
It is, and obviously he's been to a lot of these under 18 boys at Sunbury wouldn't have been to grand finals, but he has, so that experience always helps.
Absolutely, spot on there. Reserves grand final action, we got Bacchus Marsh and East Point. This is going to be a good game.
Look, you've obviously got East Point that's got both the seniors and reserves in there, so they're going to have 44 players on the grand final day. And look, for them, they've got to keep motivated. Obviously, there could be spots in that senior side going, so there's a lot of competition there for those spots. And then you've got Bacchus Marsh, who's through to a second straight grand final. They did lose to Darley 12 months ago, which was a really good grand final. There's a little bit of inaccurate kicking, I think, if I remember correctly.
Tough conditions.
In tough conditions up there at Mars. But yeah, you've got Bacchus Marsh coming back. They may have got a few players back, obviously, who had played a bit of seniors who did come back into the final series. And it'll be quite an interesting one. Bacchus Marsh only just got over the line against Sunbury on the weekend as well. So you'd think East Point would enter that as favourites.
I agree with you on that one there. And the big one, we've got Melton and East Point. Both sides did not play finals last year. They are in the big dance. We have East Point, who have not won a premiership since the club came about. Melton haven't been in a grand final in over 13 years. It's interesting because it's the first grand final in a number of years there. We've actually got a Ballarat team, and we've also got a team from the east side.
Well, yeah, the last 2 years have both been all east sides. You had Bacchus Darley, and before that Bacchus Sunbury Lions. So I think Darley ended up beating a Ballarat side the year before that one. But you look at that, we've got obviously the rivalry between the east and the west this time. And look, you've got to think, is East Point's return to form, was it how good they were, or was it because Darley was so poor? And you've got to, how's Melton going to coming off a bye? They had a lot of momentum, the inform team of the competition, then they've had a week off. It's always good to rest players, give some sore bodies a bit of a break, but does that hold their momentum?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, we talk about what happened with the Riddle League. Riddle had a 15-game winning streak heading into the grand final, including having the week off over preliminary final weekend, and then they were sort of gassed inside the first sort of after quarter time. They come out hard and sort of dropped away. Melton have sort of got similar form. They're aiming for 10 wins in a row. East Point they've just come in with some great form at the right time. Will they continue that? I think that's probably the multi-million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is, and that's it. You go which sort of form. There's been a little bit of both for East Point this final series, where Melton's just been on the up, getting better and better and better. Probably you've got to also look, he did finish out the game, but Ben Archer's ankle is probably the one concern for Melton heading into that game. He was named in Team of the Year during the week, so he'd be a big loss. Look, I expect him to play.
He'll play deep forward.
He'll play even if his ankle's not 100%. You can't. He's one of their guns, one of their co-captains. You've got that one there, but it'll be an interesting grand final. Yeah,
exactly. East Point do have a few big guns in their team, led by McDougall, who's an outstanding player in his own right. Odoby, he's absolutely fantastic, and Tung, the way he moves the ball, his size and presence around the contest there for East Point is exciting to watch. And I guess for Melton, they've got a few big guns in there as well. Matty Denham, as we've touched on, Benny Archer is fantastic, and look out, Braden Kite, he's in some of the form of his life at the moment.
It is, and I think he's been named in Team of the Year at least for the last 2 years. So he's probably their key.
He got Mark of the Year as well this year as well, so he is flying in more ways than one.
Yeah, he's a key for them there. And you look, they've got Aaron Teams, who was named Coach of the Year as well, his first season as senior coach of Melton. So that's a massive effort for him, having been their assistant coach the season before. So there's a lot of players to watch and a lot of the coaches to watch as well, and see how they sort of handle the pressure.
Your tip for this one?
I'm hoping Melton, because I cover Melton.
And I'm going to say Melton, just purely on the basis that I've seen their last 3 games, just due to the luck of the draw, I guess, where I've been through work. I've only seen East Point sort of for 1.5 games, and they've played pretty exciting footy. But I just think they've run a momentum at the moment. I think it's looking good for them.
It is, and it'll be massive for not just Melton, but the town itself. Looking at it, not only Melton hasn't won a premiership since 2005, no senior men's team across the whole entire town. So Melton South hasn't, Melton Centrals hasn't. So for this, it'd be massive for Melton to have a senior men's premiership if they ended up getting up. I
guess with East Point too, they have had a lot of great success through their juniors, winning multiple premierships for a long time running. I know they're on the big stage today, but I think, we cast our eye to what happened last year. The Darley went the double. If East Point get up in the reserves, will that be a sign that we'll get another double?
Not necessarily a sign, but it gives a lot of motivation. It gives a lot of confidence and excitement in the side before your seniors run out, knowing that your reserves have won a premiership earlier in the day.
Should be fantastic. Well, thanks to our friends at McDonald's. Tara, thanks so much for jumping on board. This has been the grand final preview for 2018 McDonald's Ballarat Football Netball League Grand Final, which is at Mars Stadium on Saturday, September 22. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to everyone enjoying the day.
Thanks for having me.